Hello everyone, this is Rani Hari. Welcome back to Asian Fempreneur. If you are new here, welcome. This is the place where video games, the power of play, spirituality, entrepreneurship, and tech intersect. In this episode, I want to tell you the lesson that I've learned from coding, or you could say software development process cycle, and how we can implement that in our real life. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that I'm opening my doors for one-on-one coaching. This is a great opportunity, especially if you've been thinking of transitioning, maybe in terms of jobs, or if you have so many interests that you're not too sure where to focus them, or perhaps you just want to gain some accountability. The people that I've been working so far, they said that they've gained clarity and they feel safe because I hold them the space where they can share and express what exactly they want to do that is aligned for themselves. If you're interested, I invite you to book a discovery call, which is for free. The detail will be in the show note below. If you've ever code or do any programming in any kind of capacity, or maybe even work in a software development project, even though you're not the tech person itself, you'll notice that instead of planning to the perfection, to the whole in everything in one go, people in software development, usually they work in iteration. Now, this is something that I've learned in the past 4 or 5 years because, well, we develop software as well. This is what my business partner, who is an IT person himself, taught me. I don't code actively. I see the people who's doing it. Okay, here's what happened. When we start with our very first software, which was Garchi, and at the time we were delivering homemade food, but we were talking about the software we used to, as the software as the platform. My approach was very like a typical straightforward, like, okay, let's plan to the dot, to the T, and then follow the plan. But as someone from IT, like as someone who is already worked in a software development project himself, he said, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. We're not aiming perfection in the first go. We want to work in iteration. And we had a bit of a debate over this, like, no, I want this. Like, I want it to be done according to the plan so that we can show it nicely to the other people. But he insists also like, no, this is not how it works. It's all in iteration. Like, we work in sprint and agile method, you could say. Okay, we're going to work until this and then try it out. And then, okay, once we found something that doesn't work, okay, let's redo it. Turns out we want to convey the same thing. It's just we do it in a different way. But at that time, I know that I was coming from a place of perfection. As someone who has been surrounded with this need of perfection growing up, it's a bit difficult to think that it's okay not to be perfect, especially when it comes to product development or software. But as time goes by, actually, you know what? It's liberating that you don't have to keep thinking about being perfect all the time. Let's take an example of recording this podcast itself. When I first started, you can sense my nervousness, even though I've planned it to the T and like have the questions ready. But still, like, if I insist of doing it until it's perfect, yeah, this is it, this podcast is not gonna be anywhere. Like, it's never gonna be out. One thing that we need to ask, what does perfection means itself, right? What do you think perfection means? How can we know when it's already perfect? What's the standard? Perfection itself is subjective. My sense of being perfect might be different from other persons being perfect. And like honestly speaking, it's unrealistic. I'm not trying to say that in everything it's okay not to be perfect. There might be some occupations or some things that very sensitive that it's imperative that maybe zero error, the margin of error is as low as possible. Then you really want to be careful in that sense. Like one miss maybe can be deadly, fatal. Or in occasion where if you're working with colors, let's say, if you come from a creative or if you are from garment industry where a different choice of color can actually halt production. And that could mean loss of money. Cash flow will be stopped. Then yes, that's almost a fatal situation. But how many of us are actually facing this situation? Probably not all. Maybe in fact it's just a little bit of percentage. I'm talking to the people that don't have to face this. My invitation is to rethink about this, to rethink about perfection. Like what does perfection means? Is it realistic? And how does the people around us feel or reflect or even think about when you're so absorbed in your own perfection that you cannot see what is working already, right? Because ultimately, instead of achieving this mysterious perfection, wouldn't it be more clear, more easier to do if we just try to do things better than our version of yesterday? That would have been a very straightforward thing to do, isn't it? Let me know if any of this is landing for you because I want to know what your thoughts are, like any questions, any thoughts, what you're thinking about this concept of perfection. So, in that, thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.